Hello everyone, my name is Manal Al-Sharif and I'm a political science student at the University of Amsterdam. I just came here to talk a little bit about the war that's going on in Sudan right now. We've now entered our fourth year of the war. Some call it a civil war, some call it an ethnic war, but I think that the most important component is that it's a war against our civilians and against our people. Currently in Sudan there's a lot of displacement going on within the country and outside of the country. We have over tens of millions of people displaced multiple times within the country that can't find safety anywhere they go. They have a lack of access to healthcare, to water, to food, and aid is very hard to get to them. Outside of the country, we feel the impact within our families, within our community, people fleeing. It's a very dire situation, and I can't stress enough the amount of despair and sadness that we feel as a diaspora. That's why I think it's really important that we keep on talking about it, we keep on pressuring our governments and our elected officials to look into our role as diaspora in the West to see what we can do. I think that there's a lot of components of this war, a lot of vulnerable people, not just to the war and to the violence, but also to the natural elements, to the diseases that are breaking out, to all kinds of other security risks that they are facing. And I heard the question a lot about what you can do as outside of Sudan, and I think the most important thing is that you have to talk to each other about what's going on, about the war, about the impact. Seek out the Sudanese people in your community. Look on the internet and look at reliable journalists who are doing work on the ground. Question your officials about the ties that they have to countries like the UAE that are providing arms to the paramilitaries within Sudan. Question where your gold is coming from, the smuggled gold that is being siphoned out of Sudan illegally, and where thousands and billions actually of dollars are being profited off of, and none of the locals see these dollars. It's blood gold and it's blood money, so you should follow the money, follow the gold, see where it's going, and talk to your officials, see if they have financial, economic ties to countries like the UAE, and look out for propaganda. There was a lot of narratives being pushed out about ethnic conflict, and I think that everything has a place. It's a very important thing that we recognize the history that we have in the country, which is a tense history, but at the end of the day we want this violence to stop, and we need to cut the arms that are fueling this violence, and the most direct way you can do that is by holding your political officials accountable and cutting ties with countries like the UAE. Okay. When we're talking about all the vulnerabilities within the country, I think it's very important to mention one of our most vulnerable areas, which is in the West, Darfur. We've seen in the last couple of years that the genocide and the war in Darfur has actually gotten way and way worse. Hundreds and thousands of people have been driven out of Al-Fashir, with tens of thousands of people killed and murdered by the RSF. So when talking about the entirety of Sudan, I think it's very important to mention our most vulnerable area, which is Darfur in most cases.